Hey there, cats and kitties. I am the Blues Man, Johnny Blues, and with this video, we'll be discussing my thoughts on episode 15 of the anime series Arslan Senki, or the Heroic Legend of Arslan. And this was actually quite an intriguing episode, I have to say, because we have this new character, this cat who was sent in to sort of become the inside man of Rajendra's faction in this alliance, false though it may be, with the Persian army, Arslan and his, loyal posse and everything like that, Jeswant. We're seeing him come to the fore and put into action this loyalty that goes back to the Grand Vizier of the Sindarin army and everything, this man who raised him and was like a father to him. We see that this man is very loyal, to that cause. And it's really intriguing to me that his sort of whole impetus is to take down from within this alliance to put a stop to the Persian march alongside, Rajendra's Sindarin army, his forces, to go against his own brother, take that all down from the inside. And yet, if you look at the OP, this character is showcased as becoming potentially one of Arslan's own posse as well. And where we leave this episode, it's kind of easy to see how that could line up. But as you're watching the episode unfold, it seems like it's going to go entirely the other direction because of Jeswant's loyalty and everything. And from right off the bat, you have a character like Give, who does not very much trust Jeswant. It looks like he's got to amount to much more than the position of just leading Arslan and posse, through this area, through this kingdom or whatever it is, this placement, Gujarat, where they're going to be sent in as envoys, Giev and Jeswant respectively. But we find that through the course of this episode, actually, Narcissus has already sort of perceived who he actually is, and or at least that he is a potential threat, that kind of thing. And it's intriguing to see that after Giev kind of tests Jeswant's mettle, he's holding himself back a little bit. But they end up going as envoys into Gujarat, and, we see that, in a sense, you almost get the, perception that Jeswant is a turncoat, because he is loyal to the cause that seems to go all the way back to Gadivi, of course, Rajendra's brother, and that whole infighting thing that's happening, burgeoning as the episode unfolds. Of course, Narcissus is the master manipulator. He's the master tactician and strategist, and he sees this coming from miles away. Arslan, he is approached basically by Rajendra, and this is where the other foot drops, because, Narcissus already suspects that Rajendra has something up his sleeve. He's going to try to get the best of them in some manner, and it's all about, well, we're going to go this way. You go ahead and you go that way. As we're marching on, my brother Gadivi, we're going to split apart and we're going to come from two different sides. And the whole aesthetic is, as everyone pretty much in Arslan's posse agrees unanimously, the whole point of this is to use Arslan's posse and his faction, the Persian soldiers, as a decoy and try to, I guess, take the brunt of the attacks and the battle and everything like that, so that Rajendra can sort of, sashay in there like George Jefferson and be like, I own this place, without having to do all the work or whatever. And that's intriguing because as it pertains, as I say, to the idea that here is Jeswant, who is very much on a different, mission entirely to basically take that aspect down, to make it not happen. He goes straight to the leaders of Gujarat and tells them, Give lied. The Persian soldiers, I'm here to stop them. We can't let this happen. And I like that at the forefront again is, it's not a loyalty to Gadivi, it's not a loyalty to one or the other of the brothers, but this vizier character who's like a mentor, a father figure for Jeswant. It really touches, it's like a hallmark and a touchstone to what Arslan's own dilemma is. And I love that this comes to the forefront. It was so satisfying toward the end of this episode Arslan, he lets, after all this has culminated and we see that there's this big ruse, Narcissus has already gone into the planning stages, realizing they were probably going to get, bombarded and attacked from behind because of Jeswant's deal-making with the Gujarat officials and everything. But we see that all of their, sort of carts that's supposed to be full of food and resources and such, it's actually Ferengis and all the soldiers. They get the jump, effectively, on the Gujarat forces and send them packing. The leaders are killed, and you have Giev once again fighting, Jeswant and not holding back this time. So they take him captive, but in having him captured, the dialogue exchange between Arslan and Jeswant about Jeswant not knowing who his parents are and having this vizier like a father figure to him was the closest he had to anything familial. It really, as I say, hallmarks and touchstones Arslan's own dilemma and his own realizing there's something amiss with my parentage, from the fact that he was, contained outside of royalty, outside of the royal city or whatever it is, Ekbatana, and he was only brought in later as a child, as he started to grow older. Lots of different things, from the estranged sort of less than familial dynamic going on between his, air quotes, mother and father, Androgoras and Tahimane, respectively, in the way they treat him, or the lack of the way they treat him, and all these things. It's an ever-present question in his mind, and I think it was sort of, instigated by Bauman's last breaths about Silvermask, Heddermis being the true lineage, to the throne, to ascend the throne of Pars and all that kind of stuff. And he's just, Arslan is not stupid. He's, intelligent, and he's sort of taking all these loose threads and putting them together, much as we, the viewer, are left to do. And you have Narcissus and Daryun. I love these two guys because not only Narcissus for his just cunning strategies and all of his, 3 steps ahead of the game, 10 steps ahead of the game, planning, making everything a chess match and everything like that. Not all of that cunning and skill, but also the fact that he has just unprecedented loyalty to Arslan, for the man that Arslan is and has become and is becoming. And Daryun is very much right there by Arslan's side, even closer. Toward the end of this episode, I mean, it almost made me miss this idea that Arslan, he's atop that one tower in this little, area, and he's just sort of looking out across the stars. He has Azrael, the eagle, come and land on his arm and everything. And you can tell he's really in a fit of desperate soul searching. He's trying to understand his place in the universe, his place in this cause. Is it worthy of him? Is he worthy of it? And all these things. And who is he really? And he is about to ask this of Daryun. And Daryun just cuts him off and says, "Sir, you are my liege. You are my master. You are my lord. You are above and beyond all that I look toward the future and see," and just the unprecedented loyalty, because they know that he is just a benevolent human being, that he will be just the absolute best choice overall for a sort of leadership role over these people, that he will bring peace and he will bring solidarity and he will bring semblance to all of the people that will fall under his jurisdiction and everything, his command, if you will, even though he will not lead as though a slave driver. He will lead as a beneficial, as I talked about in a previous video, a beneficial leader, somebody who actually cares for the people and wants the best for the people and actually makes every step to, see that drawn out and everything like that. And it really got to me that a moment where Daryun is down on his knees and he's looking up at Arslan, and Arslan, he has the lone tear, and he realizes, and is, at least for me, I think he is brought to a level of semblance within himself in that moment that was much needed. And other things in this episode, amidst all of that, finding out Jeswant's known as the Black Cat, and because of his skill and everything like that, and he can kind of sneak in and be that inside man, and you don't necessarily see him coming unless you're Narcissus. And then with Narcissus, the ongoing just fevered back and forth adversarial relationship between Elam and Alfred, and them fighting for his affections and trying to make him food. You know these two are going to end up together. It's just like, get to it already. Even Narcissus is tired of it. And just, I don't know. If that's going to happen, let's get to it already. But everything else, I mean, I was so intrigued by how everything was going to play out with Jeswant himself, and seeing him be able to be set free in the end is going to, I think, burgeon a loyalty to Arslan, and you know, sort of a peace and a sort of amicable relationship between them. Thus, he is fitted to become part of Arslan's posse in a sense, and much as we see hinted at in the OP. And as I say, just the satisfaction on top of that, of, again, calling upon this recognition, but no more tiptoeing around the tulips. They know, and Arslan is probably in the possession of the same knowledge, that he is not the son of Andragoras, and probably not the son of Tehimine. He was probably the son of, you know, just average people, and he was taken in for some reason or another. I believe it to be something along the lines of, and I, you know, posted this speculation once before in a previous video, some time ago now, I think. Andragoras, you know, perhaps he and Tehimine could not have a child of their own, and in order to preserve the sanctity of his throne and his sort of familial or hereditary line, lacking the capability of having a son, whether it's that Tehimine cannot have them or not, the whole aspect to me was, well, perhaps they sort of adopted Arslan, you know, took him from this just average family, and you know, like that was his family, his mother and father, his true mother and father, those memories he has of being outside of the kingdom, and he was then brought in, and he was just, you know, told, you are the son of Andragoras and Tehimine, you are the prince, you will ascend the throne someday. And I think it was probably Andragoras's one true call to solidify that no other faction, no other, if there were survivors, if Silver Mask or somebody like him equivalent were out there still, none of them could come in and usurp the throne, even in Andragoras' absence. But of course, it's unraveling. This ball of twine is unraveling as to the history of Arslan and who his real parentage is, and no less does it even begin to smudge the placement of him as the king, though, of Pars, you know, as the leader of the Parsian culture, and hopefully this world at large, in a sense, bringing together as many of these governmental or, you know, kingdom-laden aspects as possible under one flag, sort of a flag of peace and a flag of benevolence, because of just his personal nature and how he was raised and the man he's become and becoming. Even as the series unfolds, he's still on an evolutionary curve and growing, and so it's going to be really intriguing to see if that is the case, that, you know, Andragoras and Tehimine just went to, you know, some local people that happen to have 2 or 3 kids at once, you know, and they decided, okay, he looks good, we'll take him, and we're going to use Arslan. But because of, again, the man he's become and is becoming through the course of the series, the loyalty of his posse, the closeness and the close-knit nature of them, even if Ferengis and Giev can't quite, you know, come to a head there with their own relationship, because he's got the hots for her. And so, yeah, I'd love to hear from you guys in the comments below what you thought of episode 15 of Arslan Senki, if you've seen it, and all the twists and turns to do with Jeswant the Black Cat, the inside man who was there for the sole purpose of taking down Rajendra, and the alliance between Rajendra's faction, the Sindarin forces, and Pars, and Arslan and his posse, and all of that. And then finally having a full-on recognition that Arslan is not of Andragoras' blood and bloodline, and he will still ascend the throne, but all of that, you know, coming to the fore once again, and leaving it open to find out what the truth is, even as we march ever forward with Arslan, you know, ascending the throne in the outcome. So otherwise, that'll be pretty much it for me on this. Love to hear from you in the comments below, as I say. Have the conversation with you guys, your thoughts on this episode. And so, yeah, hope this video finds you well. I'll catch you all later. Peace.